Three, two, one. Hi all. I just wanted to do a little video before the main video, just to sort of talk through a few things and do some sort of housekeeping. Um, so I know and hate how long it takes for me to produce those full proper videos, and I thought I should put something out just to sort of give you something in the meantime. So I got together with a friend and we did this sort of podcast style video. So there's no images involved, no major editing. Got it sorted in an afternoon, but hopefully it's interesting and gives you something to keep you going until the proper video gets finished, which I'm still working on. Happy with how that's going. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting video, and I will keep you posted. So this is just something for the meantime. So I hope you enjoy. Hello, I'm doing something just a little bit different this time. Um, I've got a very special guest star. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everybody, I'm Lars and I'm Soap Studies official Doctor Who correspondent.
Yes, yeah, yes, um, yeah. We're doing. I've got my token Doctor Who nerd out of the basement to help with this one. Because this is a topic. I mean, we've talked about it before, haven't we, in like our spare time, and it's something I've considered touching on for this channel, but it's sort of difficult because it's very much more Doctor Who than soap. Um, but I think there's enough in there to justify doing something on it. So this is my little compromise. So today we're going to talk about dimensions in time, aren't we?
We are indeed. I'm very excited to talk about it and find out about it from an EastEnders perspective.
Yeah, yeah. It's such a weird moment in like the history of Doctor Who and EastEnders because it comes at a time when one is sort of the star of one is rising and the other one is sort of collapsed entirely, and it's that weird crossover point, and it's just it might not be so interesting if the actual crossover was good, um, but it's not. It's just sort of weird and messed up, and there's a fair bit to unpack here. Um, but as I say, it
Indeed.
is it is largely Doctor Who, so I guess we've got to get through all our backstory before we get to the EastEnders stuff.
hmm
Um,
hmm
so I guess the best place to start is with the cancellation of Doctor Who. So well, I say cancellation. It wasn't really cancelled, was it? The
Not
BBC, yeah,
not officially, was it? Yeah.
no, the BBC just said, yeah, we're sticking this on pause. We promise we'll come back to it, and then hoped everybody would forget. Um, they, they there's a lot of snobbery from the BBC towards Doctor Who, because it was a science fiction show and they didn't really like producing it, especially when you get to the mid to late 80s and suddenly Star Trek and Close Encounters and whatnot are sort of coming out, and the Americans are producing really high level special effects. And then you've got Doctor Who, which is still using like quarries and pretty naff
Yeah.
costumes. I mean, you've seen all of Doctor Who, haven't you?
I've seen all of Doctor Who. I mean, I think what's always used is a monster from a Fifth Doctor episode, which is Warriors of the Deep, when the big bad monster reveal at the end is literally a pantomime horse.
Oh my.
And I think that is used as an example for so many reasons.
I mean, well, yeah, for every. I wasn't even aware. I mean, for every pantomime horse and licorice all sorts man,
hmm
there's a lot of really good Doctor Who. And obviously, we don't have time to go into all of it. But
hmm
those examples are the sort of thing that executives at the BBC considered the show as sort of being. It was naff. And they did try and. Um, Michael Grade famously tried to cancel it in the mid 80s. and it was met with an outpouring of fan anger, and they had to back off. Um, so when it came to the later 80s, they just sort of didn't touch it and just sort of left it to disappear and moved on to other stuff. And one of the people who's sort of critical in that end phase of Doctor Who is a guy called John Nathan Turner. And John Nathan Turner was like the executive producer of the show at the end. Um, he's probably famous for putting Colin Baker in the most outrageous costume of any Doctor, that really ugly coat.
Hmm.
Um, and he's the guy who's there when it ends. Um, I mean, what do you think of John Nathan Turner? Because I know he gets a lot of criticism as being the guy who killed it. You think
God, I mean, there's a lot to unpack here, and probably too much for this conversation or this
that's
video. I think he's kind of used as like the kind of, people think of him. They just connect him with this era of Doctor Who,
yeah,
don't they? And the downfall,
the
and it's
decline.
obviously exactly, and it's not. It's never going to be as straightforward as that.
No, I mean, yeah, as you say, we don't. This is not a video about the end of Doctor Who and why Doctor Who got cancelled. There's a lot of stuff playing about. Reminds me a bit of Crossroads, oddly enough, because executives at ATV always look down on Crossroads because they were embarrassed of it. It was cheap and it wasn't the sort of show they wanted to be making. And the BBC executives kind of had the same view of Doctor Who. They wanted it
Hmm.
gone. Um, I guess there's sort of weak stories as well at that point, and ratings may have slipped too. But there just wasn't the desire to keep it going, and the argument was this thing has been running for a heck of a long time already. Let's move on to other things. So Doctor Who sort of ends in '89, I think.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then we enter the wilderness years, where all the Doctor Who fans had was the books, and um, I don't think Big Finish were up and running at that point, were they?
I
I don't think so.
don't think they
Yep.
weren't. Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
before that, you just had Doctor Who. You didn't need
Yeah.
Big Finish. There
But
was no
yet,
reason,
yet
really.
you know, I mean, you had the fan magazines and you had fan videos that were
Hmm.
made. But you didn't really have anything official, and there was talk of a film maybe coming out. We're getting to the 30th anniversary in '93, and people are wondering if something's going to happen because it's a pretty rough time to be a Doctor Who fan in the early '90s because the the BBC aren't saying anything. There's vague rumours that maybe there's going to be a movie. You don't know if you're getting another series. You know, it's sort of been pushed to the side and kind of put in a corner, and we're just hoping maybe you forget about this. Um,
Hmm. I mean, like you said, they were hoping that the fans would forget about Doctor Who, and I think the opposite of that happened, didn't it, really?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think they were so put off by what had happened before in the early '80s when they had such a backlash. There were threats that fans were going to not storm Parliament, but like protest outside Parliament, which would have been global news and very embarrassing to the BBC. So they sort of felt forced.
Hmm.
Um, but there is something that's sort of thrown out there, right? Uh, it's this direct to video project called Dark Dimension. Um, they're going to get all the living doctors together and do a little project with that. And but it's not with the actual drama department. It's with BBC Enterprises, who I guess deal with like, let's say, direct to video stuff. Um, and obviously that engenders a huge level of interest from Doctor Who fans. So now the drama department sort of feel like they have to get involved because it's gotten this thing's got a lot of interest. We've sort of got to move it up. It can't just be this side project thing, which I'm sure they were thrilled about. Um, once they do get hold of it, there's issues with the budget, which is way too high. BBC probably aren't willing to spend a lot of money on Doctor Who anyway at this point. Um, and it's a public broadcaster. They need to account for every penny they spend. Let's cut costs. It's a handy way to sort of push it to the side and not have to deal with it. So Dark Dimensions is put on the shelf, and that's when John Nathan Turner, very much our villain of the piece, is got contacted by his mate Nick Handel, who's a BBC producer, right? Um, and that's when also Children in Need come into play, right? Because Children in Need, for those of you that don't know, it's like an annual thing we do in this country to raise money for, believe it or not, children in need. Um, and they do special little gimmicky things, don't they, with established properties? Um,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, like French and Saunders do a lot with it, and you get like parodies and spoofs and things and stuff like that, and little specials. And Doctor Who had done something with Children in Need before. They did the Five Doctors in 1983. Um, is that like a full length episode, the Five Doctors, or is that a little special thing?
So it's a bit of an anomaly because they would have been the episodes in the classic series were kind of 25 minutes each,
Mm,
which would form part of a larger serial.
yeah,
So if you wanted to watch a full story, it would be about 2 hours long because it would be these individual episodes making it up.
yeah.
But the Five Doctors is a bit different in that it's about the length of a film. I think it's maybe an hour and a half.
All right.
So it does have that. You could actually just sit down and watch it
So it's like a,
without the
a proper film special, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I would recommend that is a very fun piece of classic Doctor Who to watch
Has
if you're
that
gonna go and watch any of it.
has it got Omega in it?
I spoilers. I mean, I can't actually remember off the top of my head, but
I have a vague, I don't know, I have a vague feeling I can't quite remember. Maybe. Um. So
no. Well, I won't say anything. I don't want to spoil, a 40-year-old TV program for
yeah,
anybody. So
yes. Um. I think Russell T Davis is doing a good enough job of that in a minute, but whatever. Um. So yes, Doctor Who had some history with Children in Need because as we said, they had done the Five Doctors. Um. And there's some desire to sort of link the two because it's a good way to sort of get it out there. It doesn't need to be its own thing. It can be tied in with Children in Need. It's probably going to raise a good bit of money. And also, crucially, it's probably going to be cheaper as well because a lot of the cast might not might defer their payment um, because it's for charity. So that that might be something that was being considered at some level too.
Mhm.
Um, they come up with this 5 minute sketch idea, right? John Nathan Turner initially is kind of skeptical, but he's persuaded to do it so he can say goodbye to Doctor Who on his own terms, which is fair enough because the guy had been. I mean, I found out recently he'd been part of Doctor Who since like the Troughton era. He was knocking about for a while on that show, so he's got a long history with it. Um,
Mhm.
so basically, he said, "We're doing a 5 minute sketch for children in need. Um, we want you to write it." And he says, "Yeah, sure." Problem is, he has next to no writing experience. Um, Even though he teaches screenwriting, that's his job now. He's a screenwriting teacher, but he's not really done an awful lot of it in the field. Um,
I wish I had that level of
I
confidence. If
know,
someone came up to me and said, "Can you just
right?
write the children need special for Doctor Who?" And I go, "I mean, I don't have any experience, but
Yeah.
yeah, why not? I'll give it a
Well, if you think
go."
that's bad, John Nathan Turner does realise, hang on, I should probably get somebody to help me with this. So instead of like opening his contact book and finding, say, any number of writers who have previously worked with Doctor Who,
Mhm.
he gets one of his students to do it. A guy called David
Right.
Roden, who's really his only. credentials for this and qualifications are that he's doing a screenwriting course and being taught by someone who has next to no screenwriting experience, i.e., John Nathan Turner, and he's a hardcore Doctor Who fan. That's it. That's that. He's about as qualified to write this as you would be.
Hmm.
Um, you could probably do better.
I mean,
Um,
it's an interesting tactic, like you say, considering how many people they would have to draw on.
yeah,
No, it wouldn't even be. y- You need to have written a Doctor Who episode before. I'm sure there were a fair few potential, writers
yeah.
who had actually experience in it.
I
Sounds like a bit of an odd choice.
I wonder whether part of it is maybe that David Roden was like not a suck up exactly, but if he was a hardcore Doctor Who fan, he might have been close to John Nathan Turner in that respect. They might have talked about the show, and David Roden might have been really passionate and stuff about John Nathan Turner's work, and that might have endeared him to him. I don't know. Um, at
Mhm.
any rate, not so fun fact. According to Doctor Who Into the 90s wiki, and some news articles I found, in 2013, the BBC withdrew a job offer to Roden after allegations of serious sexual assault. Um,
Oh God, okay.
a judge, Judge Andrew Glennie, who presided over a tribunal that Roden took the BBC to tribunal, um, he ruled in the BBC's favour and stated that Roden, quote, presented a risk to young men. So
Right.
happy Doctor
So,
Who video.
so what did Roden do like in between, like after this? Do you know like what he between then and 2013?
Apparently he worked for the BBC drama department, so he did go on to the BBC and trained new writers at the Writers' Academy. I am just reading this verbatim from the wiki. Um, he worked for BBC Wales drama department, and he was a script editor. He working on Casualty and then on Coronation Street. So he was working his way up in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, he did. I mean, he did go on to something.
Hmm.
It's just weird choice. Weird choice
Yeah,
to help out, and yeah. Um, so Roden does come up with something. He writes something called Destination Holocaust, which features the Brigadier and the Seventh Doctor fighting Cybermen, and they're trapped in a church. Now, a couple of problems with this. Um, well, three, crucially. First of all, I don't know about you, but I think Destination Holocaust doesn't really jibe with the whole children in need thing.
it
It's
doesn't scream like light-hearted romp through
y- y-
Doctor Who, that show you love and is
yes,
for kids.
yes. It's a bit too hardcore. It's exactly the sort of thing, say, a die-hard Doctor Who fan who's probably only written fan fiction might come up with as a title.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Secondly, it costs way too much. Again, probably exactly the sort of thing someone who doesn't have a lot of experience with screenwriting is going to do, is going to throw all the bells and whistles in without much consideration for the practicalities of it. Um, and thirdly, Children in Need were employing a gimmick that year called the Pulfrich effect. Right, so this is a 3D gimmick, and what it is that you know how in in movies from like the 80s when there's like really obvious 3D moments. Um,
Mhm.
I think there's a moment in like a Friday the 13th film where a character has a yo-yo and is like yo-yoing aggressively at the screen, and you can clearly tell, okay, this is meant to be a 3D moment. Um, the Polridge effect means that you don't have that. It can apply 3D to something in a way that if you're just watching it, it just appears to be normal 2D, right?
Okay.
Now, the problem with that is that the camera needs to be moving a lot for it to work. And that's not,
Right.
yeah, that's not really factored into Destination Holocaust. Um, so it's back to the drawing board. And at this point, Nick Handel, I should just say at this point that I'm getting a lot of this from the brilliant Shannon Sullivan blog for Doctor Who. They did a whole thing going through dimensions and time. So a lot of the Doctor Who background is from that. I just want to make that clear. Um, yes, Nick Handel suggests that they need a bit more publicity, which to sort of demonstrate again just how little faith people in the BBC have in Doctor Who. To sort of say we need something to secure this a bit more because this is not gonna carry its own weight. It needs help.
Yeah, that just saying Doctor Who won't be enough for people.
I
We'll need
know, right?
something else.
That's 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 kind of insane.
Yeah.
Um, and John Nathan Turner suggests EastEnders. So we finally got into EastEnders. Now EastEnders was really, really big at this point, right? Um, it's been running for a fair while, about like 7, 8 years, um, and we're past the sort of Den and Angie high point in the early years, but we've got something big on the horizon. We're on the verge of something huge kicking off. The Mitchell brothers have come into it. Sharon Gate has started, so the groundwork's being laid there, and we've got Arthur Fowler and Mrs. Hewitt, their affair. Um, Arthur Fowler was Pauline Fowler's sort of henpecked husband, and his affair with Mrs. Hewitt, a woman he did gardening for, was sort of played off as this comedic, not comedic thing, but sort of an amusing, ridiculous thing because Arthur Fowler was the last person you'd ever suspect of having the guts to cheat on his wife.
Right.
Um, and then it gets sort of tragic, and she's like obsessed with him and stuff. But that's pretty big.
Hmm.
Um, so we said it going places. So John Nathan Turner is like, why don't we do a crossover? Because we can get a bump from that if you want. And the BBC EastEnders, they have access to what we need. They can set this up. But it's not just the popularity, because they've also got the Albert Square set, right?
Hmm.
So they can use that and they can save a load of money. Because, you know, that means they don't have to find other sets. They can just borrow the Albert Square one. Problem is,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, go
No, I was just going to say, like, I recently read. Sorry, I know we're going back to Doctor Who off the EastEnders, so apologies everybody. But
on.
I recently read the Rusty Davis's book, The Writer's Tale,
Yeah,
which is about him writing the fourth season of Doctor Who
yeah,
and the modern series. And it's so interesting because as a viewer, I never thought about how much it costs to make an episode, the
yeah,
different things that go into it, and how that is just got to constantly be a consideration
yeah,
throughout like every single
yeah.
line that you write, really.
It's like you've got your big expensive episodes of Doctor Who in sort of modern era, and then you've got ones like Love and Monsters, where your most expensive cast members are out of it most of the time, and there's no big, massive special effects and things like that. You need those sort of breather episodes because then you take that money and you put it in your big set piece episodes. Um,
Like 20 Daleks with that money.
yeah, yes, that's proper Dalek money. Um, yeah,
So I can see why like the having the large set would be such a right. Well, we don't need to spend any money on a set. We don't need to, you know, we literally have that already built
yeah,
and ready to use. That makes a lot of sense.
yes, we can cut costs quite a good chunk. We don't have to source any locations. We don't have to do anything like that. We'll just borrow the set. Problem is, um, EastEnders are not massively cooperative. Um, they only give them 1 day to shoot on, which isn't a lot. But I mean, EastEnders that's a working set. They're working like all the time. They don't have an awful lot of room to bring in another film crew and get them set up and doing their own project. Because people are using it, they're filming there, which is a weird oversight from John Nathan Turner. Because I guess he just assumed, well, we'll just do that then. We'll just use the EastEnders set without.
We've, we've, we've worked out a great solution, guys. Don't worry, we'll just come and use your set for a week.
Yeah, that's fine. That'll be all right, right? It's not like you're
Don't worry
using
about
it.
it.
It's not like you're busy or anything. It's not like you're constantly working on a sort of conveyor belt of production. It'll be fine. Um, and also there might have been a bit of, I guess, snobbery. Like, oh, okay, we've got to let the nerds come and play now, have we? Um, that might be it, but I think most of it probably is practical because it's a real pain in the arse if
Hmm.
you're working on a show and it's like you need to factor in this other crew coming in and shooting. Um, but they do eventually manage to get a second day, right?
Hmm.
So production starts on this, and it's tied in for Children in Need, and both times because it's split into 2 parts. It's like a 17, 15 minute thing overall, isn't it? Split into
Yeah.
2 parts. The first part is on Children in Need. The second part is on Noel's house party. Both parts being introduced by Noel Edmonds. Um, and that's sort of kind of interesting to me because at that point it's like you've got this meeting of major properties of the time, right, on the BBC. Because Noel Edmonds was huge in the 90s. He was like the king of Saturday night. EastEnders has had a very successful 80s, and it's you've got the Mitchell brothers in it, and it's on the verge of doing even better. And then you got Doctor Who, which has sort of died by that point and has begun sort of fading away, I guess.
Hmm.
It's kind of like the baton is being passed, I think,
Yeah.
between those big shows. And also, it's kind of interesting that things like Noel's House Party and EastEnders were exactly the sort of shows that the BBC wanted to fund and focus on instead of Doctor Who.
Hmm.
So you have this massive cultural icon sort of having to lean on the new kids on the block to sort of get a bit of support and airtime. It's just kind of sad. Um, yeah, but shall we talk about Dimensions in Time itself?
Let's do it.
What do you think? Is it good?
I mean, I mean, so you're a massive Doctor Who fan in 1993, and it's been cancelled. You don't know when it's coming back,
Yeah.
and then suddenly you hear that it's going to be on Children in Need. I can't imagine being in that position and sitting down and watching this. I cannot imagine it.
How
It's just one of
angry
the most.
and depressed would you?
It's just so surreal, and I
It's
think partially like what you said about the effect, the 3D effect that they were using.
you can tell, can't you?
Now that you've said that, that makes so much sense
The,
because it almost feels like a disaster movie.
yes.
The way that they're constantly moving the camera, it feels very.
Yes.
It's a very strange.
It's
It's a
it's
very strange 15 minutes.
it's really really weird. I mean,
Mhm.
it opens with the Rani, and Kate O'Mara is brilliant. She knows what she's in, right? She knows the tone we're going for. She knows what this is. She's great as always. And
She came here to do a job and she did that job.
there's a there's like a behind the scenes thing where she's delivering a line and the director stops her and he's like, "Okay, that was great, Kate, but maybe you could tone down the campness a bit." And she's like, "What are you talking about? This is a camp show." I have you seen Doctor Who at any point? Um,
That's brilliant.
yeah, it's her plan. She's got this menagerie and of aliens from the series, and she's going to use it to control evolution or something. And she's
Mm.
trying to imprison the Doctor or the incarnations of the Doctor.
Yes, and she's already got two of them.
Yes, yes, the severed heads of Patrick Troughton and William Hartnell are floating
I
about.
mean, like the so you're getting all the doctors. You're getting all of the doctors back, apart from two of them have unfortunately already passed away.
Yeah.
So you know, how can we pay respects to the people who started off Doctor Who? They really, the
Yes.
the foundations of this show was built on. I know we will create some like nightmarish like severed heads that
Yes.
can float around in
It's a
space.
fine tribute to the proud legacies of those two men. Um, Tom Baker is also in the first bit. Now, I heard that
Hmm.
Tom Baker had basically refused to be just another cameo Doctor. He wanted a bigger part. So they stuck him in as at the beginning as some sort of narrator in the
Hmm.
void. I don't know. Dressed all in red. Did he ever wear? Is that like a prop? Because I have a lot of issues with the costumes in this. Did he ever wear that as the Doctor?
So the beginnings of this, like the Tom Baker narration, kind of reminds me of the beginning of Shada, which is an unfinished Doctor Who
Mm,
episode, which was to do with a writers' strike in the 70s, I think.
yeah.
But so I'm not sure if he would have worn that because I definitely think that is a costume I remember.
I think I might have seen it, but it's certainly not the more I. Why they didn't use the iconic Tom Baker costume, I do not know. I have no idea. Um, in,
If you say Doctor Who to like loads of people, they will think of the long scarf, won't they? So I don't.
yes, he looks like he's cosplaying as Carmen Sandiego. I don't know why he looks like that. I don't. It might be a rights thing. It might be one of those things where, strictly speaking, somebody else owns the rights to that look. Because you'll notice there are
Mhm.
no Daleks. I don't believe there are any Daleks in this because the Daleks are owned by Terry something, isn't it?
Terry Nation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Presumably the nation estate took one look at this script and thought, no, thank you. This
No. We
we've done a
do
lot.
not tarnish the name of the Daleks, the good name
Yes,
of the Daleks with this TV.
yes, yes they were not above milking the Daleks for everything they were worth, but I guess this might have been a step too far, even for the nation estate. Um, it's yeah. Durrani also has an assistant. I don't know whether you noticed that guy. He was just sort of knocking about
Yeah,
in the
the her like, flunky kind of.
yeah. Um, Now I'm pretty sure he never appears in any main Doctor Who episode.
Hmm.
He's just sort of there for this one. Now the character isn't named in the actual special, but apparently he's called Syrian or Syrian. Do you know why?
I absolutely no idea.
It's because the actor they originally wanted to get for this part was Syrian McKellen. And Syrian McKellen said, no, thank you. So they named the character after him in tribute.
In tribute to him being like, I absolutely no
having
way.
having the sense to avoid that and focus on a career which was obviously going to go massive places at that point.
Just imagine how different it would be if it opened with Kate Mara and Ian McKellen, just like the tone that would set,
uh,
and then you went into the rest of the madness. Sorry, Kate Mara.
I,
Like it just imagine. But instead of Syrian, we get Syrian.
yes, yes. And then the madness sort of, as you say, the madness sort of kicks off, and we jump from doctor to doctor and companion to companion. So we get a lot of them meeting that hadn't met before. I understand this is the first time Colin Baker's Doctor met the Brigadier.
Yeah, there is a lot of just very random pairings of people,
Yeah,
and your brain's kind of going, right, who is that? Like, why are they with that person? I've never seen that person in color before. Like,
yes.
it's all this
I,
very
I'm
surreal.
I'm very glad you said that because I don't know an awful lot about Classic Who. I recognise some of them, but there were others I was like, I have no idea who you are, and I wonder, I, I wonder whether people watching at the time might have been a bit confused by who these people were, or it took them a little while to figure out who they were at the time. Because again, the costumes are sort of more modern.
Hmm.
Obviously, the actors have aged.
That's another thing. You are kind of, because obviously the very recent people who have been in, you know,
Yeah,
been in the series like 5 years before, obviously they're pretty easy to recognize. But people who have been in it like 30 years before, 25 years before,
yeah. I
that's an
mean,
extra level of
yeah.
difficulty.
I mean, I know who Susan is because she's talking about her grandfather,
Yeah.
but she does look different.
Well, that is life,
That's,
isn't it?
yeah,
You
it
know, the
is.
passage of time. It's very
Yeah,
appropriate for Doctor Who.
yes, yeah, yes. Um, yeah. So it jumps about a lot, and honestly, watching this, you realise just how little EastEnders plays a part in this because it's every now and then someone from EastEnders will pop up. Pauline Fowler's in it with little Ian Beale and um, his mum. The Mitchell brothers show up. Pam
Mhm.
Butcher's in it, and they all have these little, tiny little scenes or lines in some cases. Frank Butcher sees someone get kidnapped and thinks nothing of it. Um,
I, that is got to be one of the best moments of the whole thing.
yes, I,
His reaction of, "Oh, I'll just carry on."
I've seen people get thrown out of the Vic, but never pulled in. It's apparently the EastEnders people were pretty protective, um, so they had to approve all the lines,
Ah, right,
so they were in character. And
right.
I mean, it's all just sort of generic Cockney stuff a lot of the time. None of it is really character focused. They don't really do anything with the EastEnders side of it. It really is just a sales gimmick. Like we're crossing over with EastEnders, and also we have this massive set, so we can cut costs significantly. Um,
Hmm.
they don't really take advantage of it. Um, and we get to see Ian Beale as a kid, and Kathy Beale chastises him for stealing fruit. So that's something. Um, that's great. Um, it's yeah, they're jumping around in time as well, aren't they? So
Mm.
we get weird moments because we go to 2013, and Kathy Beale had faked her death at that point and was presumed dead, and Pauline Fowler was dead. So I'm afraid that's the point where Dimensions in Time lost me. Um,
So
for
sorry.
that,
So you're talking about in real life in 2013. That was what was happening in EastEnders.
yes,
Right. Okay.
I'm very disappointed that John Nathan Turner didn't predict that.
Didn't make sure that go right. Okay. So we did this in Doctor Who. We did this in Children in Need. So you need to make sure.
Yes, yeah,
Otherwise, it won't make
you have
sense.
to. Yes, um, and then it jumps back to 1973. And do you know how I know it's 1973?
Go on.
Because Pauline Fowler is loudly talking about how she remembers how JFK was assassinated 10 years ago. It's like who has conversations like that? That's just a way of telling people it's 1973. Um,
They went, what happens in 1973? Don't know. Okay, 1963? Right, okay, yeah, with right.
yes, you couldn't stick a Ted Heath reference in there, Pauline. No, nobody who watches EastEnders or Doctor Who knows who Ted Heath is. Just do JFK. Everybody knows JFK died in '63. Um, they're just not. the EastEnders characters are not used really at all. They just pop up because it's EastEnders, and it'd be weird if they didn't. And I think
Hmm.
possibly the biggest example of that is the vote, the public vote,
Hmm.
where viewers could decide whether. Well, the setup is that the Rani is holding the Doctor and some companions in gunpoint, and you, the viewer, get to ring in and vote on who saves the Doctor. Will it be Mandy or I want to say Big Ed, but it's not Big Ed.
Big Ron.
Big Ron, yes, Big Ron. Um, who were sort of two not minor characters, but sort of more secondary characters, popular at the time, and Big Ron has a big fan following. Um, but
Appropriately.
again, it's interesting that they were the. It's sort of obvious that they were the two choices because Phil Mitchell's busy. You can't have your big actors doing that because they've got to shoot other stuff and
Mhm.
might not be interested. Um,
And I guess if so, I mean, I haven't watched much EastEnders, and I haven't watched much EastEnders from 1993. But am I right in thinking that the one who doesn't get voted for doesn't turn up in the episode?
no, no,
Right.
we see no sign of Big Ron. Hashtag release the Big Ron cut. Um, so yeah, Mandy wins the vote, and it's really telling because when Noel Edmonds is delivering this, he has a hard time not laughing because he finds it kind of ridiculous, and so does the studio audience at Noel's house party because it is silly. I mean, it raises a lot of money. They raise like 100 grand from that, which is great.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, it is kind of silly, and even more silly because Mandy, who is the winner, doesn't really do a lot. The Rani sort of hypnotizes one of the companions. Who is it?
You're asking me.
I,
Sorry, I'm not doing my job as
I,
Doctor Who nerd, am I?
it's I don't know. It's one of the ones I don't recognize.
Um,
It's not Adric, is it?
no, I don't think Adric turns up.
That's a shame. Yes, but
Uh,
she hypnotizes one of the companions, and because she needs a human being for her menagerie, and Mandy sort of steps in and stops her by just sort of shouting and saying, "What are you doing?"
It's a very, very blink and you'll miss it, isn't it?
It is. You sort of expect something a bit bigger than that. It's entirely pointless. It wouldn't matter who had done that. It could have been bloody anybody, you know?
Yeah.
Um, completely pointless. Um, but the day is saved, and actually, incidentally, apparently, one of the characters who was going to be an option for saving the Doctor in that moment was Mrs. Hewitt of Arthur Fowler affair fame. Um, but by that point, the storyline had already run its course and she was leaving. So they couldn't really put her in, which is kind of a shame because I like Mrs. Hewitt. Um,
I
it would have,
mean, surely that's like, put her in and then kill her off, what a way to go.
yeah, yes, well, yeah, they should have done that. Um, so, yeah, and then we get our ending, and the day is saved, and the Doctor traps the Rani and Syrian in some sort of vortex or something, and then they go. Um, it's not very good, and we're not the only ones to think that, because apparently John Pertwee wrote in his autobiography that he had no idea what was going on throughout the entire thing, and he referred to it as a load of poo. Um,
Oh, it's not good when you've got one of your main actors saying that, is it?
but it is confusing. It's like it's it's just baffling. Um,
It-
I don't know
It's
how.
a
I mean, it's clearly something written by people who don't really know what they're doing. But even then, it's like surely you can do better than this.
Hmm.
And what makes it really sad is that it's not just John Nathan Turner. This is John Nathan Turner's goodbye. This, th-
Hmm.
this is his sayonara, one last hurrah as Doctor Who guy. But on top of that, it's like surely you'd look at this as an opportunity to pitch the show, wouldn't you? Say this is why Doctor Who is still relevant. This is what we can do. Isn't this impressive? Let's get a fan campaign rolling again and see if we can get picked up again. That doesn't seem to have come into it.
Yeah, because I guess the point of the anniversary episode and like the ones that they did for the 10th, the 20th, the 25th, well, 25th is a bit different, but an anniversary is looking back, but this episode is so looking back. There's
Hmm.
absolutely no kind of like a vision for the future or like you say how the show could actually be done. It's like yeah, this is what we used to do and it kind of sucks.
Yes. Yeah. Um. Just and it's not like this couldn't work. It's not like an EastEnders Doctor Who crossover couldn't work because EastEnders has done children stuff much later on. They I don't know whether they still do, but they used to do a lot of like musical stuff.
Hmm.
They did a crossover with Coronation Street, which was really fun, which sort of poked fun at both shows and just the genre as a whole, which was great and is really what this should have been. I I would be down for seeing a Doctor Who EastEnders crossover that pokes fun at Doctor Who and EastEnders. Um, I want to see Phil Mitchell punch a Silurian. I want to see them really, really have fun with it. And this was
Well,
just bad. I mean, EastEnders barely plays a part in it at all. And if you're an EastEnders fan, you're not getting EastEnders. If you're a
mhm.
Doctor Who fan, you get really bad Doctor Who. You don't really win. It's not doing anything for anybody. Um, yeah.
I I would be really interested to hear if there's anybody out there who had never watched Doctor Who before, watched this and went, "Oh my God, I'm gonna go and find the rest of these episodes. I
Yes,
want more of this."
I must discover the lore of Sirian, that interesting character. I certainly hope he has an expansive backstory.
I mean, I'm sure that, there's probably a big finish about him. I'm sure he must
Oh,
pop up somewhere else.
probably. He's probably Adric's best mate or whatever, or something. I don't know. I mean, the real $1 million question of this. Oh, we haven't talked about the costumes because oh, Tom Baker is not the only one who has a weird costume in this. Um, Leela, is it?
Yep, yep.
Why is she dressed like fancy dress Pocahontas?
I mean, I think so. When she appeared on the show,
Yeah,
she was like a cave woman and wore very like skimpy outfits.
yeah,
Like very like something for the dads. Like that kind of
yes,
thing. Very necessary,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah,
But then like I think she didn't want to wear that for the children need thing. I
yeah.
don't know why, but
That's what
you
I
can.
heard.
Hmm.
I heard that. Yeah, she was like, "Yeah, I'll do it," but I'm not wearing that bloody thing again. And this Native American thing was the best they could find, which is crazy.
Did they have like 5 minutes? Did
I,
they go? We're just gonna have to find something in the like the nearest wardrobe. It's just very.
I have no idea. Like I well, given they only had 2 days to shoot on the EastEnders set, they probably were doing a lot of other stuff, and it probably
Mhm.
was a bit time constricted, and they probably did just find the next best thing. Like this is vaguely primitive coded. She's a cave woman. Okay, let's just give her that. It sort of works. Are you okay with that? Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'll do that. Fine. Um, yeah, but it probably is the next best thing. scenario, but it does just add to the weirdness of the whole special because it just,
It's a very strange choice.
yeah, it does just seem really low budget and rushed and messy and
Hmm.
poorly conceived. I
Yeah,
mean,
because I think that, that it's almost like there's trying to be a sense of urgency throughout the whole thing, but it just ends up like rushed, doesn't it? Really.
oh yeah, we're jumping around constantly, and it's really it's sort of hard to suss out. I mean, it's not difficult to suss out what's happening, especially because they're jumping around in time, and for some reason it's centered on Albert Square and all this stuff. But yeah, I mean, if I was a Doctor Who fan, would I be happy with this? I mean, it might be pretty cool seeing like John Pertwee come back and whatever, but I'd be kind of underwhelmed, or significantly underwhelmed.
Yeah, I think it's just I cannot imagine watching this and what you would have felt because obviously we, with hindsight, know that it came back and it was all
Yes.
okay and
What if
that
the
wasn't. Yeah, exactly. What if this had been the last ever episode of Doctor Who?
yeah, there are probably a lot of people at that point going, yeah, okay, you can cancel it.
Yeah,
Just put it out of its misery. Just make it quick.
yeah. But I think with the hindsight looking back now, it is just like a fun piece of like Doctor Who like lore.
Well, yeah, like TV history, really. It's a weird
Mm,
moment because, like I say, it's this grand, big cultural monolith of Doctor Who handing over the baton to the TV shows that would sort of replace it in that sort of position, for a time anyway.
mm.
Um, sort of reminds me, you know, that meme with the old woman in the walker being like, "Oh, I used to be the most popular TV show in the
Okay.
world." It's like, okay, Grandma, let's get you to bed. That's what it reminds me of.
I mean, like you say, yeah, it's such an interesting time in like TV history.
Yeah,
But then I guess like turning that on its head, like Doctor Who now is on. I know there's,
yeah.
we don't know what's happening with Doctor Who at the moment, but Doctor Who's like on Disney. It's like got Disney money behind
Oh
it now.
God, yeah.
It's like in America, it's been, it's international. Whereas I don't know, I would think of EastEnders as being pretty, just UK relevant, really. I don't know. Does
Yeah,
EastEnders have like fans
yeah. I mean,
outside the UK?
it's exported around the world. You can watch it abroad and stuff. I mean, you're a good few episodes behind, but yeah, it's got fans all over the world. I mean, when it started, it was noted that it was getting exported globally. BBC were making a fair bit of money from that. Um, it just sort of made me think, like, because EastEnders has been running since the 80s for like 40 odd years, right? And Doctor Who has been running for 60. And if you take out the break, it's more like 50 odd. It's interesting that it was easier to conceive of cancelling Doctor Who than it probably ever has been of cancelling EastEnders. And I don't really understand why, because it's not like EastEnders hasn't had like embarrassing periods or weak periods.
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe it's that word continuing drama, which is what they tend to call so. There's a lot of
Right.
heavy lifting, I think.
Mhm.
It adds a pedigree that a science fiction show doesn't really have. Um, I don't know. I don't know. It's just interesting. But the real
Yeah,
million
definitely.
dollar question, and the way we'll
Hmm.
wrap this up, is Dimensions in Time canon? Do you consider this canon? Did this happen?
I, I mean, that is $1 million question. I think there was a certain time, and this has probably changed now, but there was a certain point in time when only two things were canon in Doctor Who universe, which was two Wii games, and everything else was like it's just because of what someone said in the interview or some wording, but it was a very strange period of time. Um, yeah, why not?
Oh, okay.
It's 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 not like the rest of it makes much sense if you.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I
why
mean,
not?
Doctor Who canon is a disaster. It- It's such a mess because it's been running for so long and it plays about its own history so much. Russell T Davis has said it's canon.
Has he? Oh
Yes,
well,
apparently.
exactly.
There was an expanded universe book that came out a while ago that said, I don't know the exact context, but it framed it as a bad dream that the Doctor had once, that he was in EastEnders being chased by the Rani. Um,
Oh, I do love that as well. To be
yeah.
fair,
I will say I don't think it's canon from an EastEnders standpoint. I'm gonna make that point right now, that controversial position.
I
Um,
mean,
I
is so Doctor Who canon and EastEnders canon. If it was canon for both, that would mean they both exist in the same universe?
that gets confusing because EastEnders has
Question
been
mark?
referenced in Doctor Who
Oh,
episodes as a
yeah,
TV show. I like to imagine that the events of Dimensions in Time is just something that Nasty Nick Cotton imagined while he was shooting up heroin in a DOS house somewhere.
and Doctor Who was just on in the background.
Yeah, this is what he saw as he sort of faded away. Um, but yes, well,
Well, I have one other shout out for this episode that I should have thought
oh,
of to say earlier, but there is a very funky version of the Doctor Who theme tune at the beginning of the
yes,
episode,
and we didn't talk about
which
the theme tune.
really sticks out. But I think they originally asked the Pet Shop Boys to
Yeah, they
do a
did.
version of the theme tune, and they said no, sorry, we're too busy, but you can use our single.
Yeah.
So, and they didn't end up doing it, but it's in the style of the Pet Shop Boys, and it's a very good version.
You like this version of the Doctor Who thing, do you? Used for Dimensions in Time.
Yeah,
You
it's
want
very
you want that on the record, do
well. I guess so. Yes, I love it.
you? It's very 90s.
It is.
Um, I mean, it's just one of those other things. If you're doing Doctor Who hasn't been on screen for like 6 years or whatever, not 6 years, like 4 years, and you've got a load of fans who are wanting new content, maybe put like a recognizably Doctor Who theme in there, you know, rather than this. But I mean, as I said, you've got people who don't seem to know what they're doing, who are getting no support really, much support from the BBC.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's hard to hate Dimensions in Time because it did raise a lot of money and it is sort of harmless, but it is a weird mess.
Well, I guess in the okay, Doctor Who canon, EastEnders canon aside, in the Children in Need canon, and like
Yeah,
what children, the sketches that take part in it, like
yeah,
yeah, I'm sure I'd be interested to see what the other sketches were from that year,
yeah.
to see if they were all as equally like crazy and
I don't know. I mean, it's not for nothing that this has been compared with the Star Wars Holiday Special.
yeah.
Although having seen bits of the Star Wars Holiday Special, it's much worse. This is the Dimension in Time is miles better than the Star Wars Holiday Special. Um, would you recommend people watch it?
Hell yeah,
Yeah, why not?
hell yeah,
Well, yeah. So I guess that just about sums it up, doesn't it?
brilliant.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. I hope you like this little extra video I did. Um, it just gives you a little something, and I'm still working on stuff, so don't worry. I'll get it out as soon as I can. But yeah, that's Dimensions in Time. So thanks for joining me, Lars.
Thanks a lot for having me, Ben.
That's all right. Do you want to plug anything?
Just Dimensions in Time. Go and watch it.
Yeah. Bye.
See ya.